Yeah.
You know?
That's sad.
Eric!
Wait, already done.
I would ask I would ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could all have a moment of silence. Please be seated. Good evening. As many of you know, Council President Jay Walsh's mother passed away this weekend after a courageous battle with cancer. Laurie Walsh was a beloved member of our Lynn community, and she will be terribly missed by her husband, John, her son, Jay, and his family, Jill and Jayla, and her son, Josh, and his family, Katie and Quinn. I know Council President Walsh wished to be here this evening. I am honored, as Vice President of the Lynn City Council, to make a brief introductory remarks. On behalf of the Lynn City Council, I would like to thank those in the audience tonight for Mayor Jared C. Nicholson's second State of the City address. Those include members of the state delegation, local elected and appointed officials, employees of city and citizens of Lynn and surrounding areas. This is an exciting time to be an elected official in the City of Lynn. As you will hear tonight, much has been accomplished during the past several years, with further important goals to be achieved and undertaking moving forward. I am excited to be joined by many new city councilors and school committee colleagues as we work collaboratively to ensure Lynn reaches its full potential for each and every citizen. As you hear tonight, Lynn's future has never been brighter. Without further ado, it is my sincere pleasure and honor to introduce the 59th Mayor of the City of Lynn, Mayor Jared C. Nicholson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the introduction. Good evening, councilors, school committee members, legislators, county officials, and guests. I want to start by sharing my condolences to Council President Walsh and his family on the loss of his mother, Laurie Walsh, former chair of the Lynn Housing Authority and co-founder of the Lynn Christmas Parade, and just an outstanding Lynn citizen who will be deeply, deeply missed. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I want to especially thank my wife, Catherine, and my sons, Henry and Benjamin, who are here. I'd like to thank my parents who are here as well, and my staff, and really the entire team here in the City of Lynn, working for Lynn, for all that you do. Thank you so much. The state of the city is resolved. Fiercely and with urgency, sometimes unevenly but steadily, we are making progress. Progress doesn't shield us from difficult moments. Progress also doesn't happen without us coming together in those difficult moments with common purpose and collaboration. I'm hoping that as we face our challenges and setbacks, we find strength, consolation, joy, and community in one another's resolve. That it courses through the city and helps us make connections with each other and across different issues, driving cross-cutting solutions to our interrelated challenges. Those solutions will come from us. The great work that is happening here, the great people who are here who care about this community. We'll need to look at our problems from different perspectives and try new ideas, but it is the resolve of our own people that is our greatest asset, that we need to continue to build, to aggregate, to marshal, to bring us forward. Our most painful challenge is the toll of community violence. And I extend my condolences to the families who have been devastated by the loss of a loved one as a result of recent violence. We are doing everything we can to put a stop to it. This challenge also illustrates the importance of the connections that we make with one another and across issues. Community violence requires attention from law enforcement. It also requires attention from educators and healthcare providers, from parents, friends, and neighbors, from civil rights leaders and clergy. In an effort to strengthen those connections, we hosted a powerful community conversation with almost 200 community members last fall at Ingalls Elementary that many of you joined in. As a next step after that conversation, we hosted just last night the city's first ever Mentor Spotlight event to recruit more mentors for our city's youth. We plan to follow up this fall on our successful community canvas with another door-to-door visit from city officials, this time around Commercial Street in West Lynn in the coming weeks. Our police force continues to grow and evolve, with 17 new officers sworn in over the last year, bringing an unprecedented level of diversity and generational change. Thank you to our retiring officers and to our new recruits for stepping up to help keep us safe. The police department have an important role to play through law enforcement in gang suppression. And they are tirelessly doing that work, coordinating with different agencies, building their capabilities, adding a data analyst and a grant writer last year, and increasing home visits with families of at-risk youth. Other departments also play an important role. Last year, we launched a workforce development partnership with ROCA and the Department of Public Works, funded by our American Rescue Plan Act funds, which has created 6 job slots for at-risk youth transitioning into the workforce. The team has worked on projects throughout the city, from clearing sidewalks after a storm to cleaning litter in a municipal lot. 4 of those initial participants have already gone on to find permanent job placements. We're also looking forward to the city's exciting addition to our public safety team, the Lynn Com team, an independent, unarmed response for mental health, quality of life, community mediation, and post-incident follow-up dedicated to furthering racial justice. Thank you to all our community partners, including the Lynn Racial Justice Coalition, Elliott Community Health, My Brother's Table, and others for helping us create this new program, which will be launching soon. We're also making sure that we can reach and communicate with our residents in order to establish the connections that we need to effectively deliver city services. Sharing information in multiple languages and working with our language access coordinator and team of interpreters to be able to reach our multilingual community. Our city and our residents deserve good jobs. A path to stable employment is critical for the economic mobility that we seek to help us overcome intertwining disinvestment and discrimination, as well as the most compelling counter that we have to a path to negative behavior with harmful consequences. That's one of the reasons that we offered to pay for our residents to get their commercial's driver's license, a program that 11 Lynners are currently participating in. The goal of finding good jobs for all is why Lynn Tech got a grant to offer adult education evening programming with 20 slots in the welding and auto shops. This is in line with a forward-thinking vision that we share with our schools, nonprofits, businesses, labor, to expand capacity at Lynn Tech to prepare adult learners to move into better paying careers. To give you a sense of the level of interest and ambition that our residents have for these opportunities and the work we have before us to be able to meet this need, there were more than 150 applications submitted for those 20 slots. Our goal of connecting residents with good jobs is one of the reasons why we're proud to say we've been able to diversify our city workforce, increasing the percentage of city employees of color from 1 in 10 in 2018 to 1 in 3 this year. We're also working to harness private investment to create job opportunities for our residents. A great example of that is the project that the council approved several weeks ago at the South Harbor site on the Lynnway, which at over $450 million is the largest private investment in the city's history. This project will create much needed housing, including affordable housing. It will create new opportunities for small businesses and a new public park, both of which will draw residents in from all over the city. And it will create jobs, with 15% of the subcontractors on the job required to have a registered apprenticeship program that creates good new jobs and goals for hiring 30% Lynn residents, 25% people of color, and 10% women. That project is an exciting sign of more to come for our waterfront. We are making progress on a South Harbor implementation plan for that entire neighborhood, creating a street network to connect our neighborhoods to the waterfront and unlock its potential for development, new and expanded transit connections, open space, water access, jobs, and housing. You'll see a great example of this concept later this year with the extension of Blossom Street across the Lynnway opening. It will add another opportunity to cross the Lynnway, which is turning a barrier between the downtown and the waterfront into a connection. We're continuing our long-term push to plug Lynn into Greater Boston's innovation economy. Lynn Tech is adding a biotechnology shop, opening a pathway to some of the best paying and fastest growing jobs in the region. Next week, we're visiting Greentown Labs to pitch Lynn to clean energy and climate tech startups. That effort around recruiting employers is supported by our longtime partners at General Electric, who helped out with our pitch, adding a quote, the city has been a valued partner that welcomes innovation and collaboration. We strongly endorse Lynn as a place to do business for any company looking to relocate or establish a presence. Attracting positive investment will not only help us create jobs, but also improve the city's ability to invest in ourselves through the tax base that commercial growth yields. The cost of housing continues to be one of the biggest challenges for our residents. It's a growth inhibitor in that it makes it harder to retain our workforce and overwhelms our residents' income. And it's a destabilizing force on exactly the kind of supportive, caring networks that we are trying to create for our youth to combat community violence. A marker of the legacy of racial discrimination and a contributor to current-day racial disparities, housing inequality, and the opportunity inequality that it gives rise to must be addressed. The work we do towards the goal of affordable housing for all will help us towards our goal for safe and prosperous futures for all, regardless of race, class, or other differences. And we are doing that work. We created an affordable housing trust fund and seeded it with American Rescue Plan Act investment, and are now funding great projects to create more affordable units. One example of a project funded by the trust, the fund awarded $1.25 million to preservation of affordable housing to help preserve the affordability of Olympia Square apartments downtown and create 30 to 40 new units of affordable housing right next door. Another example, the trust fund supported a project from the Commonwealth Land Trust and Massachusetts Coalition for the Homeless that's creating almost 40 new, deeply affordable units on Buffum Street with wraparound services for tenants to help provide a stable housing environment. We also directly funded legal help for tenants to help prevent evictions, funding a partnership with Northeast Legal Aid using American Rescue Plan Act funds called the Eviction Prevention Project that has assisted more than 160 tenants. The next step that we are undertaking in the housing production plan is a proposal to implement an anti-harassment policy to help the city protect tenants from unlawful harassment. The city, if implemented, would have a tool to address complaints about bad behavior that too often come to inspectional services and must then be referred out as a private matter, although clearly wrong and illegal. The trust fund is also currently evaluating a groundbreaking proposal from Harbor Light Homes for a transaction to preserve more than 100 units of naturally occurring affordable housing. That's housing that's currently affordable, but privately held, which, if sold, could overnight become unaffordable for the many people who live there. We look forward to reviewing that innovative proposal. In addition to shelter, food is another basic need for our residents that we must be able to improve access for. This year marks 1 year of a trailblazing initiative to combat hunger. We appointed a newly created Food Policy Council in January to help steer the Phoenix Food Hub, a partnership hosted by Greater Lynn Senior Services. Last year, the project served more than 1,500 unique consumers and received statewide recognition for innovation from the Massachusetts Municipal Association. Its programming includes making connections for residents across different needs, from making healthcare referrals to a program that links nutrition and mental health through training and conversation. Everything that the city does is an opportunity to earn trust with our residents, which ultimately supports us in our work to create the world that we all want to live in. From a filled pothole to a certified birth certificate, every interaction gives us a chance in government to show folks that they are right to put their faith in public work. And we're making great strides in creating public services and assets that make the most of those opportunities. We paid off $8.1 million in state deficit bonds, successfully retiring the state's financial bailout from 2018. The last couple of years, the city has worked hard to balance the budget in challenging financial times for the city. That work will continue this year in financial times that are still challenging for the city, but are also now challenging for the state. And mindful of that context, we will continue to make smart fiscal decisions. Last year, we approved the city's first ever comprehensive plan, Vision Lynn, which won a regional planning award. We launched a new, more accessible, dynamic, and informative website for the city. We rolled out almost 100 Big Belly trash receptacles at parks and public lots around the city with decorative resident art, and 50 new barrels on city streets to help make the city cleaner. We permanently preserved Lynn Woods, working with Lynn Water and Sewer Commission, Department of Conservation and Recreation, Greenbelt Conservancy, and Friend of Lynn Woods. Lynn Woods is a centerpiece of a park system that we are growing With the addition of the signature waterfront harbor park, scheduled to open next year, and upgrading with significant ARPA investments in several neighborhood parts, from turf services at McManus Field to irrigation at Keeney Park, which will culminate over the next year. Our next step to better reach, communicate with, and ultimately serve our residents most effectively will be a mobile application brought to us by an 8th grade class from Marshall Middle School called See, Click, Fix to better report and track the resolution of constituent issues. We'll finish a study to measure the availability of parking downtown and propose new ways to improve access and convenience. We will continue to make an unparalleled investment in the city's roads, with $11 million coming from the state to extend the Northern Strand Community Path and repave South Common and Market Streets. $6 million to improve 2 dangerous intersections on Broadway, and an additional $3 million that we've put it directly to repaving streets with ARPA funds, double our normal budget for paving. The Senior Center renovation project will start this summer, work we are excited to do to give our seniors the space that they deserve. And a much-needed upgrade of the Fayette Street Fire Station is also scheduled to start this summer. A step towards achieving the public safety facilities that live up to the high standards of the great work done every day by our Lynn firefighters. We'll continue to push for the Federal Veterans Affairs to sign a lease to keep its care here in Lynn. After our EDIC stepped up to buy the building last year, an example of the important work that we owe our veterans in gratitude for their service and their sacrifice. Thank you to our veterans. We'll continue our push to finally clean Kings Beach. Many coastal communities enjoy access to safe, clean beaches. It's a basic coastal amenity that we lack but deserve, and that we are fighting for with urgency. That work is a prominent example of our broader effort to make sure that the city is protecting the environment and ourselves from pollution and responding appropriately to the changing climate. Next year, mark your calendars, Friday, May 14th, 2025, when the city turns 175. Look at the seal. It's the actual date.
Calculator.
Our hope is to be able to turn on the Fountain on the Commons through a grant that community development received.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it is decorating bus stops with custom art like we did last year, or restoring a fountain on cherished ancient grounds here in the city, these improvements to our shared spaces demonstrate for all, in our daily lives, our interest in one another and our resolve for the common good. The connection between schools and violence prevention is obvious to everyone. I think most of us have had a teacher in our lives who made a connection, who influenced our choices. It's important in non-obvious ways as well. As the schools have expanded their role in shaping youth and viewing students holistically by explicitly delving into social-emotional skills, we've added an entire education workforce devoted to mental and behavioral health. Our schools don't yet have sufficient spaces for that work to be performed as it should be. Just one example of the many gaps in our school facilities. Addressing those gaps has been a priority for us all, and the signature effort to do so is building a new middle school. Last year, we set the budget for the new Pickering, which only became feasible after a $30 million increase in MSBA funding that the city advocated for with partners, especially our state delegation. Thanks to this collaborative effort, I am thrilled to be able to say that this summer we will break ground on a new Pickering Middle School. From there, we'll continue our leadership in the statewide push for school construction reform and plans for new elementary schools here in Lynn. We know that pre-K education sets the stage for lifelong learning and that we need to get more of our children into pre-K. Last year, Lynn Public Schools added 90 seats to its pre-K program. We hope next year, through a state-funded partnership with Lynn Public Schools, local nonprofits, Greg House and Leo, and others, to add at least another 250. Leo is getting closer to opening a brand new flagship building for its Head Start program, which the city contributed to funding, allowing them to add another almost 40 preschool seats. Facilities are important in education, but the learning comes from people. Lynn Public Schools will continue to work to attract and retain our high-quality teachers. In an exciting new strategic initiative, Superintendent Dr. Yvonne Alvarez is working with her team and our teachers to help our high schools capitalize on our students' strength, creating pathways for rigorous instruction, language acquisition skills, financial technologies, and science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, STEAM, while retaining what defines public education: open access and inclusion. A school pathway is a great example of enhancing our connections. Our teachers are doing great work in our classrooms. Our students are doing great work too, and encouraging those with common interests in particular types of learning or in areas of future opportunities to cluster, to share and deepen those interests, to build community is a great example of how we want to continue to come together, to build on what we have, to take our residents' resolve to achieve the future that they and their families want for themselves and to allow it to animate and to energize the work we are already doing, to let it radiate through our schools and our neighborhoods, our whole city. I want to thank our entire city team for all that you do, and all of our residents for the opportunities that you give us to serve, and for all that you do to make this city what it is. I also want to thank you for the resolve that you have to make the city what it ought to be, the best version of ourselves. Becoming the Lynn we ought to be is not about changing who we are. It's about supporting our people here now as we build our desired future together with opportunities and inclusion. We don't need to wait for the resolve to come from elsewhere. We need our own resolve to course through one another. My resolve comes from wanting to get it right for my family. Raising my boys in a place where they'll be safe, loved, taught well, and proud of. I am certainly energized by the resolve that I feel in this room, the resolve all of you bring every day to better our community, and wherever your resolve comes from, we need it, we feel it, and we share it. Thank you.
I actually stopped looking. I'll tell you right now. You hit it. 30 seconds.
We were taking bets. You're good. You're under.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
TV's website has news, event information, and much more for free. Visit linntv.org/news to find press releases, news videos, and more, updated throughout the week. Our community calendar is home to Lynn's most comprehensive events calendar, listing festivals, fundraisers, and more. We also have recordings of city meetings, shows from our membership, public safety scanners, and more. Visit linntv.org to find out everything LCTV has to offer.